In this video, I'm going to show you the different workspaces that are available in Photoshop. So a workspace is basically all about the flow and the type of project that you're working on. Each project has a different set of consistency that it needs to be able to move smoothly through the design process to the finished product. So if we go up to Window up against this top bar, we want to go over here to the far right of it, click on Window, and go down to from Arrange to Workspace, and then click on, so we can see that we're on Essentials right now, and that's what this is over here. So if we scroll down, we can get to 3D, and if I were working on 3D projects within Photoshop and with objects and whatnot, this would be the tools I would use. I can create new 3D objects. I can do all kinds of cool things with these. We're not going to get into 3D in this specific course. We may in another though. No promises there. So let's go to a different workspace. So again, up to Window, down to Workspace, over to the right. We'll click on Graphic and Web. So over here, you can see we have different tools available for web design and also typing, graphic design. I can click on different things here and whatnot. I can go look at the paragraph organization of text. I can add different assets to it so I don't have to keep going into my desktop to grab them out of there. And then, so let's go back. So that's graphic. That's, what is that one called again? Graphic and web. So let's go back over to Workspace, go down to Motion. This one's really cool. So this one is for the animator or the video editor who works in Photoshop. And so if I wanted to create animations, I could use this and it would keyframe it. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later. We're going to get into a couple animations in Photoshop as we go along. Possibly, at least. It depends on a few different things. And then, again, similar tools here. I can add text or whatnot. So let's go to Window, again, down to Workspace. Let's go down to Painting. And then that video toolbar goes away. And then these change over here as well. So painting is actually the workspace that we're going to use in this specific course because it is all about, this course is all about moving through the design process from start to finish of the production phases of video game design. So it's got another navigator, a mini canvas version of the canvas here. Swatches, and then the last workspace that's there is photography. I'm not a photographer myself. I mean, I take nice photos, I think so at least, but I don't use Photoshop enough to justify using the photography workspace for editing photos. I usually just use the tools over here, and it works just fine. Other more professional photographers who are in Photoshop working with photos every single day, they're probably going to be using this workspace. So let's go back to the window over here again, over to Workspace, and then we're going to click on Painting. We're going to go back to Painting. So this is the workspace, like I said earlier, that we're going to be using in this course. So let's say I want to put this tool, if I hold it down with my mouse on the left and drag it, I can pull it out here. And I want to put this tool all the way over here. Now, that's fine and dandy. However, sometimes it's going to get in the way. It's going to be really obnoxious, especially if I'm zooming in and out and blowing things up, and then I'm trying to look at things. So now what we can do is we can go back to Window, Workspace, Reset Painting. Voila, there we go. If I want different swatches, if I click on these lines over here on the right, this window pops up, And just go ahead and click on anything underneath replace swatches. I'm going to click on Pantone solid coated. And then, so this window right here will pop up. So do you want to replace the current color swatches with the swatches from Pantone solid coated or whatever one you picked? You can click OK, but before we do that, let's talk about these other two. So cancel is pretty self-explanatory. It means it'll cancel the operation that you've just executed. But if we hit append is a really fancy way of saying add to everything else. So if I click append, all of those swatches from Pantone are going to magically appear underneath all these other swatches. This is great if I'm working with a lot of color swatches and I'm always using different swatches to create different kinds of images. But for this sake of this lesson, we're going to hit OK. And so now those other swatches got replaced with all of those other swatches that you chose to pick. So let's say I don't want to have those there. And I also don't want to append a new swatch if I have to scroll through all these first. So what we can do is click on these lines over here again, and then hit reset swatches, and then hit OK. And those ones that were there originally are back to where they were. So that is the painting workspace, and it's the one that we're going to be using for this entire lesson. And I will see you in the next video.